Hello world, this is Joshin Master here yet again. Getting ready to go over something that I have never come across except for Charlie Chaplin actually speaking the greatest speech ever written by him in October 1940. Perhaps one of the greatest things ever made, in my opinion, from a silent film actor who never unveiled his voice until that moment, which speaks of truth, which is prevalent today, the incredibleness of foolishness and recklessness growing upon our world and humanity itself. So I'm going to try to read it as best I can. I don't know if I have the same bravado and capabilities as Charlie Chaplin stated, but I'm going to go for it. I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone, if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We only want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world, there is room for everyone, and the earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful. We have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed, and we have developed speed. But we ourselves have become shut in. Machinery has given us abundance and has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical. Our cleverness has made us unthinking and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than that, more than machines, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. With all these aspects, life will be non-existent and unlivable and will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness of men, cries out for brotherhood, for mankind, to unity of us all. And now millions are hearing my voice all over the world, reaching millions of people, men, women, children, victims of a system that torture men and have imprisoned them and innocent people. To those who can hear my voice, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed and the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass and dictators die, and the power that they took from the people will return to the people. As long as men die for liberty, we will never perish. Liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, to men who despise you and enslave you, who regiment your lives, who tell you what to do, tell you what to think, and tell you what to do, to drill you, treat you as cattle and as cannon fodder. Don't give yourself to machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. These are natural men, machine men with machine hearts. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved and the unnatural hate. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for the liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke, it is written, the kingdom of God is within man. Not one man, not a group of men, but in all men. And you the people have the power to create machines. You the people have the power to create happiness. You the people have the power to make life free and beautiful, to make this life wonderful, to live this adventure, then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us unite. Let us fight for a new world and a decent world that will give men a chance to work, that will give the future an old age and security. By the promise of these things have brutes risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill their promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to be free with a world and do away with greed, do away with national barriers, do away with hate and with intolerance. And let us fight for a world of reason, a world of science, a world of progress, will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite. Let us all be together as one. So, it's pretty prevalent today. I mean, we use our ability to rationalize, to reason, to think in a negative way, and we're condemning that aspect of our humanity. The current movements that are now coming into progress are not freeing one another, they're enslaving each other. I mean, even the feminist movements now, they're diabolically trying to sabotage one another. They have personal agendas. They're not helping one another, they're hurting each other. If you're trying to fight for equality for all women, what about the women overseas who are enslaved in human trafficking? That human trafficking occurs with little children and things of that nature. Why aren't you standing up for that? Why are you standing up for your own personal agendas and trying to destroy this world? It doesn't make sense. And yet, at this time, we're battling one another. We're not helping each other. Why are you shaming a beautiful woman if she doesn't have the end quote fat movement or body acceptance movement? If she's beautiful, she's not trying to praise the patriarchy. She's trying to be herself. She's trying to be beautiful. She's trying to demonstrate that she's kind of like a flower. Beautiful to stare at, a wonderful creation that God has made to admire, and also to be able to spread that aspect, be able to spread that love. And yet it seems like this continues to be a particular aspect. And I don't know why. Why would you shame one another? You're supposed to try to help each other, but you're not doing that. And now they've broken off into all these different little chains, and now they're starting to become diabolical. They're starting to become evil. And they're suppressing one another. I'm not into feminism. I'm not into any of this bullshit that's been going on. Women and men are two different sexes. We have roles to play. That doesn't mean that we try to dominate or control each other. It means we work with one another. But the problem is that that's not happening. The nuclear family has almost completely been destroyed. The very aspect of a man and woman working together to help raise children has become the negative aspect of society, but that's the very backbone of our society. We need to be able to try to bring that back in the regards that all of these single mothers now that are raising these children, you want to know why these schools and all this stuff starting to get happening with these shooters and all this other crap? These kids don't have fathers to help them. They need male role models. I'm not dissing single moms, but what I am saying is this. If the father is a complete dirtbag or douchebag or something like that, have your kid have a decent male role model, whether you get him involved in sports or you get him involved in some kind of personal discipline where he has a decent male leader. A man and a woman need to be balanced, whether they're male or female. They need to have both mother and father to help create a complete individual. And when you don't have one side that's complete, the other becomes incomplete. And that's why these children are running into all of these problems now, because this current movement, this current mindset of this current generation of a lot of women and men alike now are starting to become completely and totally off key and off center. And weakness has settled in and has created a destruction of society. So my question to you is what are you doing to make a difference in the world? What are you doing to help other people, to help them build them up and not tear them down? You know, if there's a woman who's successful and a man that's successful, why are you trying to tear them down? If they're using their power for negative aspects, then yes, they shouldn't be in that office that they're in, but that's the way things work. The reality is that there are jerks, assholes, brutes, dictators, and conquerors all over the world. And they've come to power and they enslave people all the time. And the people are afraid because that's what terrorism is. Terrorism is a form of fear to set inside the heart. And this leftist movement that's currently on nowadays, and I'm not saying all, but a good portion of them, they're so brainwashed they don't know what they're fighting for. They don't know what an actual protest is. Mahatma Gandhi, perfect example. Shouldn't have starved himself to death, but made a pretty good example of what it meant to be and to protest. Martin Luther King is another great example. Once these men came to the realization that it didn't matter what race was or whatever was going on, that all human beings are created with equal rights and liberty to be able to live in freedom and happiness and truth, their lives were ended. Because evil has no face, evil has no premise. It doesn't care if you're white, black, Jewish, lesbian, it doesn't care. It's in all camps. It exists everywhere in all parts of the world. And if you don't understand that, then I suggest you know the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Wisdom is the ability to discern right from wrong, good from bad, good and evil. Knowledge is the ability to be able to solve a solution or problem. And if you can distinguish these two things, I think you're on the right track. But the way that Charlie Chaplin was talking about is a path of enlightenment, self-actualization, personal development, and cultivation, which is something that most people don't want to do. They don't want to educate themselves. They don't want to break free of those chains of oppression of a system that diabolically uses men and women alike. And I'm just going to say this, to the entire leftist movement. You're being used. You're being used to help the government achieve their political agendas. To help them, they're using you to help create rules and to limit your own rights. And you're not even seeing it. So what I'm saying is sit down and think about what you're doing and what you're saying before you start spouting bullshit. Toxic masculinity, men are evil, weight training is bad, competitiveness is evil. Competitiveness is not evil. Being able to understand what loss and sacrifice is helps you to succeed, and this is what competition does. It's also a very natural aspect of nature itself. It's not completely man-made at all. In fact, competition is in nature. Nature has competition. And this plays a biological role in the development of creating strong individuals to help be put, in the right positions of power. But without loss, without understanding what loss is, we've created an entire society of young men and women who feel entitled to things that they have not earned. Nobody owes you anything unless you've worked for it and earned it. You just don't walk over and put your hand out and say, hey, I'm owed this. This is bullshit. Nobody owes you a damn thing. The only thing that you're given is by the grace of God is freedom, salvation, and mercy. And if you're a Christian, cool. I am too. I walk that path every day, and it's not easy to walk. But even if you're not a Christian, whether you're a Buddhist or a Muslim, the universal aspect of it relates in this regard that we're all human beings. We all strive to try to help one another, to try to build a better community, to try to make a difference. But we can't do that if we subjugate ourselves to relegations of foolishness, recklessness, and abandonment of our humanity. And apparently that's what's been going on here in the United States. And not just the United States, but all over the world. It continues. So it's not just people, but it's people in the wrong places at the wrong time saying the wrong things. That's creating a wrong mindset. So I say, battle against it, use reasoning, use logic, use intelligence, use wisdom, not just knowledge. Just don't sit there and say, I feel this or I feel that. Take a look at the facts, research it, understand what it means, let it settle within your mind and within your spirit, let it digest a little bit, and then speak about it. Because when you take the time to actually think about what you're doing, It's a completely different situation all into itself. So if you're going to sit there and you're going to protest something, don't do it for your own personal agendas. Do it so that way you're going to help other people and help free them. Anyways, this is Joshin Master. Hopefully this will resonate, make a difference. If you can, share, spread this to other people. It might piss some other people off, may not, and frankly, I don't care. I'm not afraid of pissing people off. Um, toxic masculinity, toxic femininity. Stop trying to destroy each other. Start letting men and women work together. Let's talk with one another. Let's sit down. I'm not saying it's going to be kumbaya. There's always going to be situations. There's always going to be wars. There's always going to be things like that because that's unfortunately part of the dark side of human nature. But if we learn how to become self-actualized and be able to understand that we can free ourselves from those limitations and that we can develop and progress with our abilities and the power that we've been given, then we can make the world a better place and make a difference in it for our children or our children's children. Anyways, rock on, world. Remember, think wisely, don't be stupid, and question all things. Joshin Master out. Rock on.